I'll get the hang of this one day. um, let's talk about something weird. Um, what is mind, body, and spirit? Could be a lot of things. I don't know. Uh, well, obviously, mind, body, and spirit. You'll see this sort of delineation in multiple traditions. Um, Western psychology, you have the id, ego, superego. That's one way that we look at it, um, or the conscious, subconscious, superconscious. In more of the Eastern philosophies, they call it mind, body, and spirit. Actually, and from in confession time, I used to study Druidism because why not? I am a religious seeker, a spiritual seeker, really, not a religious seeker. I don't like religions very much. I think a lot of our problems in this world can be traced back to religion, but rant over. Um, so what is mind, body, and spirit, and why does it matter? Well, obviously your mind is your brain case kind of thing. Your it's that executive function in a way. Um, it's really kind of the part of you that thinks you're you. That thinking part. Um, and then your body, or to equate with Western psychology, that would be more of your subconscious. I kind of think the subconscious and body sort of thing are very, very closely linked. I mean, think about how much you have to think about making your heart breathe, or your lungs, or your heart beat, or your lungs breathe, or it's so many things. You don't have to consciously think about moving your arm or your head or whatever. Your subconscious really kind of controls that. It's sort of the interface between your mind and physical. And then the more I think about it, I kind of am beginning to think that maybe spirit would be sort of that functional combination of the two. Um, Now, in more of the mystical traditions, it would be this interface with angels or higher planes, higher beings, and that might be the case. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of agnostic in a lot of ways because I think it's very, very arrogant to say that I know this exists or doesn't exist. Now, I mean, to an extent, I can look at a little remote or something and go, well, this exists. Um, but I can't say that a different type of remote doesn't exist because I don't know. So I think it's really arrogant when we say things don't exist. Um, I mean, we look at it's really fairly recent in human history that we discovered that radio waves exist, or that microwaves exist, or that quarks exist. It's really a fascinating thing. All the things that we're still learning. Um, I see a lot. I love astronomy, and I think the universe is just incredible. I mean, I don't really have to add a lot to the amazingness of the universe to go, no, it needs more. We need, like, friggin' spirits and stuff, but I can't say they're not out there. Um, you know, how many times when you follow astronomy and stuff do you see that they've discovered something that they thought was impossible? You know, Oh, that's impossible. Well, there it is. It's clearly not impossible. So, spirit, I think, is, to me, it's sort of that combination of mind and body, or the mental realm and the physical realm sort of combine to make this sort of almost resonant harmony, if you will. So why are they important? Why is it important? I think it's important to work all three. I think meditative things are important because they teach your body stillness. They teach your mind focus. It's like a mental workout in a way. And then spiritually, it allows you to just be present. Um, I think a lot of times, when you are depressed, you're living in a past situation, you're mentally in a past situation, you're kind of stuck there. If you're anxious, you're mentally in this future situation that hasn't happened yet, and you're sort of stuck there. But you find this sort of peacefulness when you are fully present. It takes a lot of work to get there. Um, that's part of the reason I keep pushing this meditation thing. I really think that a lot of our mental struggles, our spiritual struggles, even some of our physical struggles can be overcome through mental training, and to an extent that spiritual training, because again, I think it all kind of goes back to all three together. Um, Mind, body, and spirit. So obviously the way to work out your body is just regular exercise. Um, Running, jumping, climbing trees, that sort of thing. Eddie Izzard reference, if you didn't catch that. Um, I have established a habit now. Thank you, quarantine. That I work out 6 days a week and I take a rest day. I do think a rest day is very important. I think your body needs it. I think your mind needs it. I think your spirit needs it. So try to do those physical movements. Get your body going. Get your heart pumping. Get your expand those lungs. Part of my meditation technique that I tend to do, and we'll go over that at some point in the future, I breathe. I love to just deep breathe. And I've gotten to a point where I can take really long breaths. There's a yogic tradition where the idea is to breathe as little as possible, meaning you take super long breaths, you hold it for super long, you let it out for super long. And that's thought to extend your life. And the theory behind that is that you only have so many breaths. So the faster you breathe, the faster I don't know about all that. What I have noticed is that my lung capacity is just outstanding at this point, even though I have bad habits as far as smoking um, so mind, how do you work your mind out? Well, what's a good hobby for you? What's something that you have to think about, that you really have to, mentally put together? And again, meditation, that's another great mental workout. You're teaching your mind to focus on one thing, or no thing, for longer and longer periods of time. I think ultimately those two combined help work out your spiritual practice. Now, spiritual. That could be a lot of things to a lot of people. For Christians, it might be going to church or reading your Bible. For a Taoist, it's meditation and, trying to stay centered. For Buddhists, it's one thing. For, Muslims, it's another. For everyone, but I think ultimately there's this one underlying factor that I have yet to come across a religious tradition that doesn't have this one thing, and that's that element of a meditation or prayer. Um, sometimes, and there's this story, I believe it was Isaiah in the Old Testament. He was in this cave, and then there was an earthquake, and God wasn't in the earthquake. And then there was a mighty wind, and God wasn't in the mighty wind. And then it was all these things. And then the only time that he heard God's voice was in that stillness, the still, small, gentle breeze. I think if we can quieten ourselves and really listen, then we start really opening ourselves up to some of these great mysteries that are out there, that are in us. And then we sort of learn this compassion for others, because you realize ultimately you'll hit this point where we're all kind of the same, and we're all sort of the same thing in a way. Um, we'll get into some of the more woo woo stuff if you want later on. Stuff that really has helped me throughout life. Sometimes it's just fun to think about this kind of stuff, and using these mental images and meditations can really, really, like, help a lot. So it's important to work out all three: mind, body, and spirit. I don't even know if my fingers, I'm like counting, and you can't even see it on camera. Um, One day I'll know what I'm doing. Maybe that should be my theme song. One day. All right. Anyway. All right. So, mind, body, and spirit. That's it. That was kind of a ramble, and I hope you enjoyed it. I tend to ramble a little bit, I'm noticing. I should really get better at writing scripts, unlike looking at my ideas thing. So hit that subscribe button. It really helps. See ya.